In this video, we're going to focus on how to create a Pareto chart. We're going to do a lot of work here. Basically, we're going to add up these processes. We're going to put in here another skill, two skills basically, with extra titles in here. But also, if you hover over, you can see these are percentages that we're working with. And these are cumulative, meaning that they're being counted on top of each other. So for that, we're going to use some special array features to make sure that this works nicely. So let's start to explore how to do this. In this video, we're going to answer one of the viewers' questions, which is how to create a Pareto chart, commonly known as the 80-20 rule chart, in Chart.js. And this question came from one of my other videos. So let's look at that first. That was on this specific video here on how to highlight the highest and second highest data point in Chart.js. So in here, I got this question from Rafael Firicio. So a special thank you to Rafael. And you can see here, this is right now written here in Portuguese. However, I have translated it with Google Translate. So I want to say, first of all, thank you or obrigada to Rafael, which means thank you in Portuguese, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, I have here translated it. And this is what Rafael has asked. Good morning. Excellent content. Congratulations. Well, obrigada. Thank you very much. Do you have any videos teaching you how to assemble a Pareto chart? Alright, so yes, we're going to work on this right now. Pareto chart apparently is very, very interesting, but it's quite complicated because it has multiple parts that we're going to work on. So let's start and do this right now. First thing what we're going to do is we need to have a basic bar chart. The Pareto chart in itself is basically a combo chart of a line bar chart. So let's start and make that first. To do this, we need to get the basic code here in Chartjs3.com getting started. For some reason, I get this error here. Why, I do not know. But on my other computer, it works fine. Anyway, let's scroll down here and we're just going to copy this chunk of code here. Once we have this code, what I want to do here is to paste this code in here. Once we have that, I'm going to move this or cut this out, put it in there. Obviously, that's only for me necessary. Save that and go back here and refresh. Alright, so we have now our bar chart here. But remember, a Pareto chart is a combo of a line and bar chart. And I want to give the line a red color and the bar chart a blue color. So eventually I'm going to remove all these colors and then we're going to play around with that. So what I'm going to do is, just for the sake of it, I'm going to copy these. Just put it in here so we have these colors ready. I'll just comment this out. And for now, the first thing what I want to do, well, remember it's a blue bar. Alright, so we're going to just put in this. I'm going to remove all of the excess here. There we are. I'm going to just copy this one, just delete everything here, and then just put in here. Number one. Alright, so if I save this now and refresh, now everything is blue. What we want to do here next is to create a line chart as well. So what I want to do here, and this is very important because basically this is a layering here. So you will understand that if I copy this, I'm going to show this, and later on we have to mix it around. So let's make this any color, or we can just copy this color here, which would be the red color. Put it in there, and put it in here. Take this one, and then here this border width we go to remove because it's a line chart. We don't want a 1 pixel, we want a default of 3 pixels. Next, what we're going to say here, type equals line. And I'm going to show you this, and later on we're going to move them, and I'm going to show you as well why. If I save this right now and refresh, you can see what is happening is the line is behind the bar chart. Probably now it's hard to spot, so what if I do this? Make this solid, save, refresh. Now you can see here, this is not what we want. So what is happening is the bar, which is this, gets priority first, or this data set will be drawn basically last, while this one will be drawn first. And so this one will be layered at the very back of it. That's basically how you can see it. This is the top layer, and this is the layer back. So I don't want that. I need to move this up and this one go down. So then we have a control of these items. So what I'm going to do here is going to cut this out, put it in here, and this, cut it out, put it in there. The border width should be as well down because this will become a bar as well. So now if I do this, if I save this, make sure that this here becomes a line. So we have now our combo bar and line chart. Oh, let's see. I think we forgot a comma. There you are. Comma here for border width. Make sure you have a comma because this one is here no comma or discontinuation, and there we are. So now you can see the line is showing nicely on here. So this is beautiful. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this here on 0.2, so it's back to its original state. Next thing what I want to do here is eventually, because with the Pareto chart, the line is a percentage, but this percentage is cumulative. Let's see if I pronounce it right. It's basically cumulative, meaning cumulative means it is on top of each other. So for example, it will count. So if this is 18 and this would be 12, it would be 12 plus 18, and then this one would be 12 plus 18 plus 6, etc., etc. So it keeps on going up. That's a part of the percentage. So it counts it up, or it sums the total of every of these items. So we have to do that later on. I'm going to use a formula for that. So what I want to do now is first I'm going to create new constants, and this constant will be basically, let's call here the factory process, because basically it's used for factory process equal, and then we're going to grab these labels here. Make sure we have this here. All right. Once we have this, I want to say here just process one. So we just have this, very straightforward. I'm going to change that later on. Just give them all of these. So every process should measure the mistakes, and we want to count how many mistakes are being made based on the absolutes that we later on have. So we're going to make this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once we have this, the next thing what I want to do here is basically grab the data points here. So I'm going to copy this constant, and here equals this. Oh, sorry, we have to say here data points. Later on, we have here this one should be percentage data point. So we have another one as well. We would say here would be percentage data points. That will be later on that we're going to use. However, for now, no need for that. I don't want to do anything yet. So I'm going to put it in here. This is weekly sales. Well, this should be the process or mistakes in absolutes. So I'll just say here production errors. Let's say production errors in process or in absolutes. Absolutes. All right, in absolutes. And then this one should be errors in percentage. So if I save that, refresh. Oh, let's see what's going on. What am I missing here? Open up the developer tab. Let's see here, unexpected token on 57. So 57 has an error. Of course, that should be this here. Save that, refresh. There we are. This line here must eventually move to this side here, because this is in percentage, while this one is in absolutes. So that's what we're going to do, and later on we need to look through this to calculate the percentage of these items here. So that will be interesting as well, because that will be a lot of work as well. So what we're going to do here is the following. Let me just make something here different. 100, so you can see here already. This will be this. Later on when we have this here, it will be very clear. So what we're going to do now, before we even continue on, I want to remove in the bar the space here. This is also a part of it that's quite common. So I say a comma, and then we're going to work with bar percentage and category percentage. So I say a bar percentage equals 1. And if you want to understand what this really is, I have a video here that explains bar percentage versus category percentage that plays around with that. Watch this video if you need to understand this. It's very useful as well. So what we're going to do here, bar percentage. And then we have a comma here, and then we say here, that's the next one, which is the category percentage. Category percentage. Save this, refresh. There we are. So as you can see here now, our bars are now nicely done and nicely shown here. All right, or what I mean, narrow here. So there's no more space between. So they're just attached to each other. All right. What we want to do next is to make sure that we have the right axis. So we have a left axis with the absolutes. The right axis will be in percentage from 0 up to 100. So that's what we're going to do next. So in here, we're going to say here and enter. And what we want to say here, y-axis ID. We're going to create a new axis, so basically a new scale. We're going to give this a proper name. And the name that we're going to use is very straightforward. You can call it the percentage axis. So we say percentage axis. And the percentage axis will be used in the scales here. Very important, pay attention here. The percentage axis should go here down. Once we have this, we're going to do the following. With the percentage axis, we have this here like this, and then we're going to give it some indications. First of all, we're going to say type. The type is linear, comma, then we say position. And this will be on the right side. So if I save this now, refresh, you can see here now we have a left side with numbers, and the right side is 0 to 100. To make sure that the 0 to 100 is fixed, I'm going to put in here a comma, and then I'll say here the minimum will be 0, comma, and max will be 100. Save that. And we can maybe say here, begin at 0 as true. So get this as well. We're going to save this, and there you are. Alright, what is very important here is that this one must be after the y. Because if you do this, pay attention here, what will happen? You get an error. Save that, refresh, look here now what happens. The y here is not recognizing it. It has a problem understanding it. So that's why the y first. This one always up here. Very important. So we have this here now. I'm going to save that. Refresh. Alright, so we have that, and that shows nicely. So the next thing what I want to do here is basically work on our item here, and we have to remove the grid lines. You can see these grid lines here are not really desirable for me, and the reason why these grid lines here, the 10, is different with the 67 or the percentages. For me, in my personal opinion, the percentage grid line is more important than the absolutes, because it will help you to understand more better. Alright, so like 50%, 40%, etc., etc. Because you can see the 8 here is not 40%, it's 44% or somewhere between there. So it's not exact. So what I'm going to do here in the Y, they say here grid. Then we say here display set on false. Save that. If I refresh now, you can see now it's getting better. And now it's removing here. What I want to do just for sake of it, I want to remove the tooltip because I know the tooltip is quite blocking our view. So I'm going to just do this, plugin. You don't have to do that, but for me, it's just for demonstration for you. Tooltip enable false. It's just to make sure you understand or easier to see. So if I hover over, there you are. So it's easier for me to show you because I know the tooltip was blocking the view. Alright, so we have this now. So we have this here. What I want to do here on the grid line, because you can see here 18 equals 100, but 16 is not 90. No, 16 is somewhere here in between. It's just maybe 88 or something like that. But what I want to do here is now put a percentage here, because this is a percentage item. So what we're going to do here, next one, comma, then in here we're going to say ticks. In the ticks here, we say callback, because what we're going to do now is we're going to create a function where we say add in the value a percentage. Then we say here function. And then we say here value, and we can just grab the value index and other values. Is this necessary? Basically, these are, in my opinion, right now not necessary, but it's just for I guess for demonstration purposes. But what I want to return is just this item here. Say this, and then what we want to do is plus, and then concatenate percentage. So if you would save this, you will see now we'll have this nicely shown here, semicolon there, save, refresh, now we have a percentage here. This here is really not necessary, it's obsolete, basically we could just do it like that, save, same here, alright. So now it works fine, that's beautiful. So we have this. What I want to do here, and then after we're going to work with the arrays, is the following. We're going to put in here some label names, or basically the title on here, which would indicate what this is. This would be the process in absolutes. This would be the percentages. So let's start to do this as well. So we say here comma, and then what we're going to do here is basically this. We say title. So we're going to put a title in this scale, and the title here we'll say display equals true because by default it is false. Next we say here text. And what would be here the text? In our case, well, if this is the percentage, so we can say here the cumulative percentage. So So if I save this now, refresh, you can see here now we get this one. Let's do another one here, this side, and then here at the bottom. So we can basically copy this. In here in the Y, you do a comma, put in here the title, and then we say here, this would be the, I guess the cumulative or process errors, or errors in absolutes. Maybe here, process errors in absolutes. Alright, so save that. We'll refresh, you can see here now we get the process errors in absolute. Bottom here, final one. How to do that one? Well, remember this is the X scale, so in the X scale we can still do that. All we have to do is just to copy this, and then we can just say here, processes, process steps, or something like that. Doesn't matter here. All right, save that, refresh. Oh, make sure you have a comma here. Save, refresh. So there we are. Now we have basically the layout and design ready, but we're not done. Now we need to do the percentage here. So let's go and work on the most important part here, which is this one here. So how do we get this percentage, which is cumulative on the item here, with the maximum at the very end should be at the top of 100. So what we're going to do here is the following. First of all, what we need to know here is this, the total sum. So we're going to say here, and I will say here total sum, and the total sum is basically this. It's a constant, and this constant will be, we're going to use here the array reduce. So we're going to say reduce array as a constant, but basically we're going to use the reduce method in the array, and the reduce method basically sums all the values together into a total sum or a total value. So when we say here equal, and then we're going to use a quick function here, basically this will be the following. Let's see here, reduce array, where are we? There we are. What we need to do here, we're going to say we get the sum, and we have the data point. So what we're really doing here is we're going to grab here, we get two certain values, and I'm going to show you later on what they will be, what they mean. But basically, the sum would be the value, starting value, then plus, plus, plus consistently, and the data point here would be this. So it starts 0. This sum would be 0 in the beginning, and then plus 18, and after that it's 18 plus 12, etc., etc. And it keeps on going on until it completes everything here. This will be, that's basically the reduce item here. So once we have this, so what we want to do here is sum plus data point. So that's what we're basically doing here. And then we say here the constant, and this will be the total sum. What this really is basically this. Because here, we need to put in the value. And this value is the array. But we didn't select it here, any array yet. What we're going to do is here we say data points, then we say here dot reduce, and reduce, what are we going to get? This constant here. So it will loop through this, go in here, it will understand that it will need to use this here, and then it goes and do this formula here. Once we have this, we can do here the console log, which will be the total sum here. So how much is this? Well, this plus this is 30, plus 6 plus that is 15. So we have 15 here, and am I correct? At 15, and then this here would be 12, 15. Oh, how much was that? Well, we can just see it here, I guess. I know it's 69. That's basically the number. So if I refresh here, open up the development tab, it is 69, which is correct. If you add them all together, you should have eventually 69. So what we're going to do next is the following. We have now this, but what we need to do now is to create eventually this specific percentage where we have a cumulative values. To do this, we must compare this divided by the total sum. Then you get eventually item. So what we want to do here first is to have the cumulative sum. Cumulative sum. Let's do it like that. And here, cumulative. I guess we have here double words. All right. And this is basically this. We can just say constant. And then we just grab this. Equals what? So what are we going to do here? We're going to basically go again in here. But what we want now is to map through the values of the data points so we can get the value on top of it. And then afterwards we can start to calculate the value percentage that is total, because we want to add them up step by step. So basically this one is 18, but this one, the next item should be 30. And the next one will be 36, next one will be 45, etc, etc. So what we're going to do here is the following. Very similar to what we have basically here above. The only thing what we're going to do different now is a slight modification. We say here sum, alright? And this sum here will be the data point, and this data point does the following. So basically this is a function. We say sum plus equal data point, and then here 0. Alright, so there's a starting point of 0, and then start to add up consistently. Once we have this, then what I want to do here is a constant, and this constant will be the cumulative data points. And the cumulative data points equals the following. The data points array, which is this item here, dot. Then we're going to say here map. And the map eventually is the array map, which will loop through every one of these. So basically the sum here starts at 0, and then it starts to add up the data point. The data point is this, plus that, etc, etc. So this is very important, because now what we have here will be eventually this array, or this constant put in here. And then all what I want to do here is console.log and just show what is now our value, or what we have here, basically this specific point here. If I save this now, refresh, you can see here, look what's happening here. This here is the new array that we have, which is correct because this new array is the sum of the, or it's cumulative on this. Look at it. 18, that's number 1. 30 is correct because 30 is 18 plus 12, 36, here 36, 45, 57, whatever it was, etc, etc. It keeps on going. So now we have a completely new item. However, we're not done because we want to have the percentage data points. Remember, the cumulative sum, but in percentage. Last item here. And then we're almost done. So what we're going to do here is basically the final item, which would be again a map array plus the cumulative into percentage. Alright, how we do that? Well, we have the total sum here, so now it becomes quite straightforward. All what we want to do here is the, well, it's a constant, and then this will be the, let's say, the percentage data points. And the percentage data points, well, that's basically this one here, but we can just remove that one. Just put it in here. Is the following. Equals the cumulative data point, which is this one here, dot map. And why we do map? Map will look through again through this entire item here, but then divide by total sum. That's the one we need, because then we get the total value of that percentage. So we say here this. So we say here the value of this cumulative, right? That is all these items here, one by one. In here, we want to loop through this, and we're going to create a tiny function here, which is a constant values. So the values is the following. We say parse float. Why? Because I want percentage. I want the percentage in, let's say, 10.1. Like this. So I need a parsing float because I want to have decimals. So parse float will get the value. The value is basically this item here. I hope you're able to follow along. It's a quite complicated item. However, now we just do value divide by total sum, multiply by 100, and then this is the float. And then we say dot. What I want to do is I want to fix this to fix one decimal only. Once we did that, we return values. And once we return the values, we should have now our correct item here. So what I'm going to say here, console log. And we're going to grab here now the percentage data points here. Save this. Refresh. Alright, so now you can see here exactly it started at 26 and then etc, etc. Alright, so and the final one should be 100 because it will be on top, plus, plus, plus. All right. So what does it mean? Finally, we're going to grab this one, put it in our percentage. This one here, this is the percentage item. Save that. There we are. And now we have our item. Beautiful. So what would happen if you would say, well, I have now new numbers. Let's say we have this on 200 or 200. All right. Save this. Let's look here now what happens. It understands and now automatically recalculates and matches it correctly. And of course, the same would be what's happened if you would have here another one, 1000, and we say here now, comma, process 8, save that, refresh. We can see here now it just understands this here. Or let's put the tooltip back. I hide the tooltip here. Tooltip, or maybe we can do the tooltip. We say Y align, and I will say put a bottom, so it will be pinpointed to the bottom here. So you can see here, alright, so you can see it like this. But you can see here now it goes up, there you are. So this is now fully dynamic and automatic. So every time you get your data from your database, put it in here, run this through, and this process could be anything as well, and it will automatically recalculate. So if I change this, let's put this 10, let's put this 10, and let's make this 15, and then 15, and then 30, and then we have here 18, and then we say here 150, save that, refresh, look at it as well. It knows it, it understands everything beautifully. So this is basically how you create your Pareto chart in Chartjs, where we have everything exactly the same match. So if you want to understand, because I was talking about the bar percentages as well, I highly recommend to watch this specific video. It's not a long video, it's a very straightforward video, but useful to understand how this works if you want to play around with the bar items here. So this is basically everything what you need to know to create a Pareto chart.